Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I have my mom here as a guest because we are going to be talking about hyperemesis. I promised you guys a while back that I was going to do a video all about this, and my mom had it way worse than me, which is why I have her on here. So let's go ahead and jump into the video. So to start off, I guess I should explain what hyperemesis is. Actually, she's a nurse, so she might be better explaining what it is.
So hyperemesis is a condition in pregnancy where
the angle's probably just changed because my SD card ran out of room, so we had to restart over. So anyways, you're explaining what hyperemesis is.
So hyperemesis is just a condition that some pregnant women feel when their nausea and vomiting gets way out of control, and there's no way to control it. You get super dehydrated, and it can be controlled sometimes using medications and sometimes IV fluids, sometimes just general diet changes and stuff like that can help as well.
Yeah, so it's basically severe morning sickness, like very severe. What I like, well, the reason why I think this video would be really interesting is we had two very different like variations of it. I know I had it and she had, but she had it way worse. So I guess we'll go from like the smaller end to the bigger end. So with me, I started getting nauseous probably around 4 weeks pregnant. It was bad, and I was like, man, that sucks. It's kind of hitting early, and then right around 6 weeks, it was getting so bad. I like couldn't even open my mouth to talk, because it would make me feel more nauseous. And I was laying on the couch. I laid on the couch for probably 2 months straight, and I had to have my mom, my sister, my grandma all come over to my house, help me watch Everly, help me clean the house, because I could not move. Any movement, whether that's being in the car or walking, even just walking and doing normal everyday things, that kind of movement made me so sick that I would throw up. And I couldn't drink any water. No food really tasted that great. I still ate, but it was more drinking anything. I couldn't drink anything. Dr. Pepper is my favorite thing. You guys know, well, maybe you know, that the vlog people know, Dr. Pepper is like my favorite drink. I couldn't drink Dr. Pepper, well, and I shouldn't anyway, but that's how like sick I felt, is I didn't even want Dr. Pepper. Couldn't drink water, so I was going to my midwife weekly to get my urine checked to make sure that I wasn't getting too dehydrated. And I did have to get fluids at the clinic one time. They put two bags of IV fluids because I had traces of ketones in my urine, which is what your liver...
It's indications of dehydration.
Yeah, your liver produces it, right? I don't know. She's the nurse. Anyway, so I was pretty sick, and it was debilitating. I couldn't live my everyday life. I couldn't drive. Being in the car was awful. I tried Phenergan was the first one. I tried the medicine, but that made me sleep all day, and when I was awake I was still nauseous, so it didn't really work. So then we switched to Zofran, which helped a little. Like, it helped me maybe not throw up, but I was still not so nauseous that I couldn't eat or drink anything. Let's see, what other complications did I have?
That was pretty much it. I mean, you slept a lot from the Phenergan.
Yeah, and the only thing that made me feel better was sleeping. So I slept a lot because that's the only time I wasn't nauseous. So that was my experience. Mostly it was just, I couldn't really move. I was just on the couch, but I only had to get fluids once. And I don't know, I honestly don't know how I was staying hydrated. I had maybe half a bottle of water a day. Like, I don't know how I stayed hydrated. I don't know. It was a miracle. God, thank you. I didn't have to go into the hospital. So that was my experience, and that was, I'm guessing, on the low end of the hyperemesis, which is still awful. So if you have hyperemesis and you're still like that, but it's not like, oh, it's not, you're not suffering because it's on the low end. It's still suffering. But what my mom went through, I was just thanking God that I didn't go through what my mom went through. So I will have her tell her story now.
Hi. So mine was pretty severe. So it started out, where I was going to the doctor a lot because of the vomiting, and she set up home health care. After being in the hospital for a couple of times, I was admitted into the hospital due to dehydration. They'd have to start IVs, and they'd give me what they call PPN, which is peripherally prepared nutrition. It's just like a bag of vitamins and stuff like that that your body needs when it's dehydrated. So they would give me that, and I would start to feel better, and then they'd send me home. Well, after doing that a couple of times, my doctor set up home health care for me. And after a while, the IVs, they wouldn't last in my veins
well, what
longer
happens
than
during
a day.
home health care?
Well, the home health care nurse comes in and sets you up with a home IV therapy, and they start with starting IVs and keeping you.
Are you on it constantly?
No, not at first. At first it was like a once a day type of thing. I'd give myself 1 or 2 bags of IV fluids a day. And other than that, I just had these IVs in my arms and hands and stuff like that. Eventually those start blowing, and so then they had to start putting what they call PICC lines, which is peripherally inserted central catheters. So it's an IV that they would insert in the crook of your arm, and the catheter would go all the way up your arm and dump into like around your shoulder area into a bigger vein that wouldn't blow. So while I was pregnant with Renee, my first pregnancy, that one lasted me the rest of my pregnancy. I think I had, well, no, I lied. I think I had to have 2, 1 in each arm. And so I would give myself home IV therapy, and I would have to give myself medications to control the nausea. Had to give myself vitamins and stuff like that through the IV because I was just constantly sick and couldn't tolerate anything. I think I went through a few cycles like Renee where something would be good and I'd be able to tolerate something and eat something. Mm-hmm. My grandmother's pancakes, for instance, were amazing to me.
Yeah, my great grandma, she's always talking about how her pancakes were the only thing that my mom could eat.
The only thing I could keep down, and it was a godsend. And then during my second pregnancy, it got a lot worse. There was a lot more trips to the hospital.
Sorry.
And pretty soon, even PICC lines, they couldn't do any PICC lines or anything like that because nothing would stay. It would go and they would blow lower. I mean, it was just a mess. And so the final straw was I was in the hospital again, and they needed to put in a bigger IV catheter. But because I was pregnant, they couldn't sedate me. Oh. So they laid me down, and the doctor came in. I was in the OR. Not that I was getting sedated or anything, but that was where he was at, so they brought me to him. And he literally put his elbow down on the side of my head to hold my head down and straight so I wouldn't move it. And then he took a catheter and shoved it into my neck. And that was the IV that I had for the rest of my pregnancy.
And that was with the second pregnancy?
That was with the second pregnancy because all my veins kept blowing. My veins were crap by then. Mm-hmm. And so just being so sick and just suffering like that, it was probably the hardest part of my life that I've had to go through. But on the other hand, I wouldn't change a thing because I have 2 beautiful daughters that I love dearly, so I would go through it all again just to have them. But it's a slight version of torture.
Yeah, so that kind of shows the 2 different ways. Like mine was more, I was at home, I was able to be comfortable at home. I didn't need to keep getting poked, but I was still down. Like I could not do anything. She was literally being tortured with all of these needles and everything. And when I was in the hospital for 1 week, when I was pregnant with Everly, my veins kept blowing just for 1 week of stuff. And she went through all this for 9. Well,
mine lasted when they started about 2 to 3 months. I think with you, it started at about 2 months, and it lasted to about 8 months throughout my pregnancy. With Haley, my second one, it didn't start till like 4th month. I actually thought I was going to do good that pregnancy, but then from the 4th month to about the 8th month, it was.
Well, that's funny that you got it a little bit later. Like I got mine earlier in my pregnancy. My nausea started almost right away.
Well, yeah, I had it with both my pregnancies. You only had it with the second one.
Yeah. Oh yeah, my first pregnancy with Everly, I threw up a handful of times, and I did throw up and I did feel nauseous, but it was more like if I smelled something weird or if like I hated meat, and so like if I like smelled meat, it would make me want to throw up. Or one time I bit into an onion on accident. It was in a burrito. It was a raw onion, and that made me puke everything up. So like that was different. That was so different than what I experienced with this pregnancy. I was just nauseous constantly for no damn reason. And I'm still kind of nauseous. I'm now 20 weeks. And I don't have to take the Zofran anymore. I took one maybe a week ago because for some reason I had a really random day. I hadn't had to take one for a couple of weeks, and I hadn't thrown up at all. And then I threw up and I just could not do it that day. So I'm still kind of nauseous. In fact, I'm a little nauseous right now, and it's always kind of in the back of my mind. But I can live my life right now. So mine only lasted, let's see, I was about 6 weeks till about 16 weeks. There's Papa Joe. Right-ish, 16 weeks-ish, because I'm 20 and I've been good for about 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah, so mine didn't last very long. So yeah, smaller side, bigger side. So there's so much about hyperemesis that I think needs to be brought into awareness, because it's hard to live with. And especially, like, my husband could probably tell you, he didn't really know how to handle it. Like, I was so sick, and like it's almost like what do you do? Like,
I remember I would get so terrified. I would literally sit there and bawl and cry because I thought my baby was suffering. I thought I was hurting my baby, and I was like, how can I do anything right, you know, because I could not keep anything in my body. But the doctors just kept reassuring me constantly, your baby's getting everything it needs from you. You're the one that's suffering, not your baby.
Yeah.
And that was a huge, you know, attempt at relief for me, because I mean, I still worried, and I was still, you know, feeling horrible, but it helped to know that the baby was getting everything that it needed from me, and it was me, that my body was the one who was depleted and suffering.
I think that's one thing I never really worried about, because I kind of knew, since being pregnant before, I knew the baby takes everything it needs, and it's your body who kind of gets depleted and suffers, which, I mean, when you're carrying your baby, that's what you want to happen. But so if you do have hyperemesis, you know, your baby's getting what your baby needs. As long as you're getting your fluids, that's the most important thing. Okay, change your mind. Come in or don't. I guess the point of the video is just to tell our stories and tell you what hyperemesis is like, kind of bring awareness to it. I had thankfully had a very supportive midwife, because she was like, well, we can do a Zofran pump, which is basically a permanent thing in your arm that will pump in constant amount of medicine to keep you to keep the medicine so you don't get nauseous. So, but since the Zofran wasn't working for me that much anyways, and I am so paranoid about taking medicine when I'm pregnant, and I said, you know what, I kind of just want to like get through it, like
just muscle through it. Yeah,
like kind of like just muscle through it and do what I can. And then if it got to the point where, you know, I needed fluids all the time and then something, then I'd probably have to do that. But since I didn't need fluids, I was sort of getting what I needed. I was just like, I'm just going to hang in there and do it for as long as I can, and it worked. So she was very supportive in that decision, and she just kept bringing me back every week to check on me. So that was really nice.
Another thing your midwife did that I thought I was impressed with, sometimes when you have hyperemesis, you go through somewhat of a depression, because a pregnancy is supposed to be this happy, wonderful occasion, and when you're suffering and you're just throwing up and you're miserable, sometimes you can go get depression. And so your midwife was really conscientious about asking you about that, you know, making sure that you had support, making sure you knew where to go, you know, things to do. That was not there when I had it. And there was, you know, there was a lot of stuff going on in my head and in my heart because of the pain.
And you didn't have, like, I had you, like, who you had gone through it before. You're a nurse, so I had that support too. So, and you didn't have anyone that knew what you were going through. So, I don't know how you did it. I feel like I barely got through it, and I had it so much better than you did.
Yeah, when I had it, nobody had even heard of it. I mean, the medical field had, obviously, but I had never heard of it before. Nobody in my family's ever been that sick and pregnant. I was the first one that anybody knew that got that sick with my pregnancies. So yeah, it was.
Yeah, but that was really nice what she did. Like, she always made sure to check on like my mental health. How are you feeling? Is this making you feel depressed? And I was, but I was just tired. I was just done with it. Like, I wasn't like depressed, but I was just like over it. Like, I was, and I was like, I'm pretty sure once I'm over this, I think I'll be fine. I was like, I don't want to take any. Like I said, I'm paranoid about taking any medication while I'm pregnant. I don't even like to take Tylenol. I will suffer and suffer until I get to that point where I just can't take it anymore, and then I have to take some Tylenol. So I didn't want to take any medication. I said, let's just see how this goes. And when the hyperemesis goes away, I was like, let's pray that it doesn't last like as long as my mom's did. And then if I'm still depressed, then we will figure that out then. But yeah, that was nice. You're right. That was nice.
If anybody has any specific questions, I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that I missed out or didn't include in my recount. Please feel free to, you know, throw in some questions and we can do an update. We can answer all of the questions. We could even do like a Q&A if there's enough. If there's enough questions, I can bring her back and we can do a hyperemesis Q&A, because yeah, I mean, I should have maybe asked for questions before in like social media, but I just kind of thought we would just tell our story so you could see the spectrum of it. But yeah, leave questions in the comments down below if you have any. If I get enough, I probably won't answer them. I'll let you know I saw it, but I won't answer them right there. We'll do another video, and if it's just 1 or 2 questions, I'll answer your guys' questions right away. Yeah, so there's our story, guys, of hyperemesis. Alright guys, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Give a good big thumbs up for having my mom on the video and for her making it through such a freaking awful time in her life and doing it. It was worth it. Oh, I love you. I love you.
Yeah, so she's awesome, and you guys, if you guys have hyperemesis, hang in there. If you have any ideas of what kind of works for us, maybe bring them up to your doctor or midwife. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. I already said that. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you aren't already, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!